The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all.
Let's watch this video.
South Africa in itself is lawless, highly lawless. As Botswana, we live next to South Africans. When we come to your country, we're scared to drive our cars because any person in Botswana knows somebody who's been hijacked in South Africa at gunpoint. You park your car, it gets taken, and it's normally people who live in South Africa who are South Africans. So if people come into your country, foreigners come into Botswana, but when they come into Botswana, they can feel the enforcement of our rule of law. If there's no enforcement of the law in South Africa, it begins with the South Africans. So instead of looking at themselves to say, as a people, how did we arrive to this degree of lawlessness where certain things like this can prevail? It's now to point a finger on the foreigners. It's like if foreigners didn't award themselves a permit. There are people who come here to Botswana and they try to bribe our immigration officials or officers, and they don't take that right. We're like, no, we're not taking that. But within your country and within your rules, you don't enforce them. There's a lawlessness. So it's like, oh, it's okay for South Africa to be lawless amongst us as South Africans. But it's not okay when that lawlessness extends to other people. And it's like, but it began with the foundation of how you are in the country as a people. And when people came in, they realized like, oh, okay, this is how it is. This is no man's land. It's for all of us. So therefore, let's get in and do what we want to do.
All right. After watching the video, I mean, like, nobody needs to tell you that she's from southern part of Africa. You understand? Like, she's from Botswana, very close to South Africa, next door neighbor. You know, so this is the problem with South African citizens, black South Africans. They do not take accountability of their mistake or their fault. You understand? They always blame foreigner for whatever, even fly bite them, they blame foreigner. You know, it's only when you start blaming yourself, when you know that yes, you're wrong, when you start admitting your mistakes, admitting your fault, then you can now know how to move forward. You understand what I'm saying? So, but then the problem with South Africa is that they would never accept their mistake. Rather, this particular lady, they will call her Jelofina. They will say she was sent by Nigerians, that she's dating a Nigerian, she's dating a Zimbabwean, she's dating a Kenyan. That's how they change the goalpost. They will change the narrative. Instead of listening to her, you understand? She has experience. She knows what she's talking about. And this is the truth. They are the one committing crime, but they would never accept that their people are committing crime. They will say it is foreigners that are committing crime in their own country. You understand? You are spoiling your country. You're lawless. You see? They go to Botswana. They try to bribe. But then if you come to their country, even in their country, their police even ask you to bribe them. People that hustle on the street, their police collect 3 rounds, 2 rounds from them, for 5 rounds every day. From them, police. You understand what I'm saying? So South Africa is the most lawless country in southern part of Africa. Let me not say
South Africa in itself is lawless, highly lawless. As Botswana, we live next to South Africans. When we come to your country, we're scared to drive our cars. Any person in Botswana knows somebody who's been hijacked in South Africa at gunpoint. You park your car, it gets taken. And it's normally people who live in South Africa who are South African. Foreigners come into Botswana, but when they come into Botswana, they can feel the enforcement of our rule of law. If there's no enforcement of the law in South Africa, it begins with the South Africans. So instead of looking at themselves to say, as a people, how did we arrive to this degree of lawlessness where certain things like this can prevail? It's now to point a finger on the foreigners. There are people who come here to Botswana and they try to bribe our immigration officials or officers, and they don't take that right. We're like, no, we're not taking that. But within your country and within your rules, you don't enforce them. There's a lawlessness. So it's like, oh, it's okay for South Africa to be lawless amongst us as South Africans. But it's not okay when that lawlessness extends to other people. And it's like, but it began with the foundation of how you are in the country as a people. And when people came in, they realized like, oh, okay, this is how it is. This is no man's land. This is for all of us. So therefore, let's get in and do what we want to do.
At least this one, they speak good English. Me, I know Sabi speak English. I dey talk as it be. When I hear her, lawless country. And she's very right. You cannot say someone that comes from outside is the one committing whatever. And you have security agencies everywhere. And now the security agencies are not doing anything, no. Now the masses, the looters, the lootetes, the violators enter streets. We have to do it by force, including the president of us. And you go, they report Nigeria and Ghana, say Nigeria and Ghana, and then they advocate that South Africa as xenophobic. when we dey see am, xenophobic, afrophobic, phobophobic, freaky, of everything. South African country, na im be the king of the depot of drug. So they don't want anybody to come and do the business with them. That's why they are. I'm very sure now you don't have anybody that is selling drug in your country. There is no violence again, Abi. Mbanu, let's be going.
Thank you for the opportunity. South Africa is no longer safe for any foreigner, especially the black foreigner. And it's a challenge walking in the streets and even working. And what he's saying that they are doing it peacefully, it's not like what he's stating. They claimed we took their jobs. They claimed we are selling drugs. And they claimed we are also sharing in the scarce necessities provided by their government. But when you do your research nicely, Fakel said that he would give the list to the big bosses, the list of those who are doing drugs. But they've now come to a position of concluding that foreigners are doing the drugs. They have over 166,000 inmates in South Africa, and 144,000 of these inmates are purely South African born. Only 22,000 are from outside South Africa, are foreigners, and most of them are from the South African Development Community. That is the SADC, which consists of 16 countries. So when they term foreigners as the drug dealers, I'd not support that. And actually, I have a number. So there are around 790 of the South Africans convicted all over the world. 70% have been convicted of drug abuse. So saying foreigners that they're the ones in charge of this drug thing, I'd not actually support that.
All right, this Kenyan guy who lived in South Africa and also well informed, and he has a lot of experience of what is happening in South Africa. You know, based on the fact that he lived in South Africa, and anyways, he was repatriated from South Africa because of what is happening, xenophobic attack and Afrophobic attack going on in South Africa right now. You know, he is saying what he knows. He's giving us the statistics of the prisoners and also the crime committers in South Africa. But this is something that when black South Africans join panels here on TikTok Live, they would never accept it. They would never admit it. And it's also something that even the Fakel and Takati and also Gizwe Mutunu and I don't know, Gizwe Mutunu and also Jacinta, you know, and also the other one that did BBL on his stomach. This is something that they would never say. They would not admit it because black South Africans, they are this set of people that would never accept accountability. They do not take responsibility of whatever thing that is happening to them or whatever mistake they've made. You know, like I always say, if mosquitoes should bite a black South African, the only person they will blame, the only people they will blame are foreigners. They would never blame the mosquito or blame their environment. They will blame the foreigners for sending the mosquito to bite them. If sun shines too much in South Africa, they blame foreigners. If rain falls for 2 days in South Africa, they'll blame foreigners. You understand what I'm saying? If a black South African did not get food or did not see food to eat, they'll blame foreigners. They'll blame foreigners for everything. This is just this set of people that do not have sense of reasoning, sense of understanding, and sense of belonging.
I'm gonna say this again. There is no level of oppression that ever justifies us as black people turning against each other. Us denying each other healthcare and us stealing each other's businesses. I don't care what some creator who's just trying to appease the masses tells you. What South Africans are doing to other black South Africans at the moment is shameful. It is. Because you're watching South Africans walk into another black man's business after dragging that black man out. We've lost the plot, bro. This person was saying the weaponization of Ubuntu. Like, we've lost it. We've lost the plot. If that's how we're treating other black people in South Africa, a South Africa that's controlled by white monopoly, if that's how we're treating other black people that stay in and around the same areas as you do, we've lost the plot. We have lost the plot. You have an organization denying a pregnant woman entrance into a hospital. People walking in and starting like nothing happened at other people's businesses, like plug and play. I'm not even going to talk about how economically it still doesn't make any sense. I'll even say 5 years down the line, if this was the final solution, we're still going to find ourselves here. And I know for most people, this isn't what they're planning for the final solution. You have things like SACR, right? The same individuals that don't condemn what's happening at the moment. I'm telling you, bro, I don't care if SACR... I don't care if it was going to make South Africa the number one country in the world. I don't care if everything was going to be free for South Africans in this country. Well, let me say black South Africans. I don't care if everything was going to be free for black South Africans in this country. If it means other African people are going to suffer at the end of that, we've lost the plot. We've genuinely lost the plot. When we have people like that, who are the final solution, discouraging voting, how is a civic group discouraging voting? And you think that's the final solution? These are the same people as well telling you not to feel any shame for you oppressing another black person. In South Africa, bro.
A Botswana lady just revealed something about South Africa. According to her, Black South Africans commit crime, yet at the end of the day, they want to push it to other people. And that when we are talking about a country that is lawless, South Africa, and if we want the laws in South Africa to be enforced, it must begin with us. So when foreigners enter into the country and see that the laws are not enforced, and you, the same citizens that are supposed to obey for the other people coming outside of your country to follow, are not doing that, then the foreigners think to see that like it is an easy way, anybody at all can do whatever they want. But at the end of the day, South Africans will break their own laws. And when foreigners also imitate, or when foreigners don't even do it, when they finish doing it, they will now point their fingers at the foreigners and claim that the foreigners are responsible for what is happening. And that when South Africans finish doing everything, they will always find somebody to blame. Looking at what we have seen so far, it's like what people are saying is true. South Africans will never accept their responsibility. See, every actions that you take, there's consequences. Like we heard them saying that it's other African countries that are pushing, Ghana and Nigeria, that are pushing for the isolation of South Africa. Why are you not accepting responsibility that it is the attitude of your citizens marching, unaliving people, going to classrooms, healthcare, pushing out blacks? Look at the children. Look at even how pregnant women were giving birth on the streets. Everybody were like, South Africans will say no. It is this person. They always find somebody to be responsible for their own mistakes. And until you start accepting your own mistakes, it will be very difficult to get to your destination. People are not responsible for nothing. Whatever thing you do, like this match you were doing, were you thinking that you just do that and go scot-free without other African countries and maybe the international community taking an action against you? No, you should think of all these things and consider all these things, because we have some South Africans telling you that whatever you are going to do, you should be ready for the consequences. Now the consequences are here. South Africans are saying, no, it is another person that is doing this. So you should first of all fix your own attitude, fix your own country, enforce the laws in your country. Then anybody that will come into South Africa, like he's saying, Botswana, the laws are working. So the citizens are law abiding. So no foreigner will enter into Botswana and start to be doing other things against the law. No, you all obey the law. So that is the point at which all of us in Africa must get to. This is not going to only South Africa, it goes to all of us. We have to start accepting our mistakes, be ready for our be ready for taking responsibility for our own actions. So whatever that we do, we should think about the consequences. We should be ready for the consequences and not to be pointing a finger at any other person when finally what we have called for arrives at our doorstep. Be ready to accept responsibilities. We heard all the match leaders. We are facing a country. Go back to your country. Go back to your country. Yes, always I'll tell you, the system failed all of us, not only South Africans. But South Africans are taking it on the wrong people. Until you see that it is the system, you can never be able to get a solution. The solution, like your former president Thabo Mbeki said, is not the foreigners. It is the leaders who have refused to give you the jobs. That is the problem with all of us in Africa. So at the end of the day, we tend to blame the wrong people. The system that was imposed on us by the colonizer is the problem of the African. Like Pio Lumumba said, even their democracy doesn't understand anything about us. We don't even have a name for it in our languages. So because this thing doesn't understand the problem of the African, it can't offer us the solution. The solution of the West is different from what the solution or the problem of the West is different from us. So we cannot use the Western solution to our problem. And that is what is causing us to be where we are. And we'll continue to be chasing after the wrong people for the wrong reasons. So let's unite as a people and stop fighting among ourselves and fight against the system that is fighting us.